Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your magical moon message. This is the peace dealer, the dealer of pieces, the Dutch of dealing peace, peace of dealereth, peace dealering, peace dealer. I hope you enjoy this magical moon message. You know, I've been talking a lot about a shit show turning into a shit storm, but let's throw all that in the garbage because this balsamic phase is like a washing machine of epic proportions. You ever wash your clothes and then they still come out dirty? That is a toxic swampage that is Cancer and Scorpio. I'm totally just joking. But shout out to Cancer. Cancer is holiness. You know, you can't clean dishes without water. You feel me? You can't really drink without water. I mean, you can, but you're made up of primarily water. So let's honor the water signs. Water signs help clean stuff, which means water signs uh, usually have to be applied to the dirtiest stuff. You know, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, or some of the dirtiest zodiac signs. Now they're clean, but they're applied to the dirtiest things. Scorpio's purification, Virgo is like cleanliness and hygiene. Cancer is holiness and the beginnings of nurturing and purification, you know, so that water reaches all sorts of nasty things like gutters, you know what I'm saying, sewage, your bum. It's very interesting. This transcendent balsamic phase is getting ready to lead you into the new moon in Cancer. And that really brings me to say one thing. Superpowers. Now that was two things, but I want you to pretend that it was just one. And here's a very important thing. This is going to be hard to say, okay? The moon is 12th house to the sun, and we're dealing with some nonlinear causal realm principles here. When you get stopped by the men in black and a force field is projected around you so that others can't really see the transdimensional activity happening, even though you're standing in the same realm and you're screaming and you're wanting to know, why can't other people see me? And then the men in black say, before we neuralize you, we took you in a pocket dimension. Don't worry, all this is real. Just watch Jupiter ascending. Oh, you're not going to remember because we're going to neuralize you. If you want to get out of there, okay, I work on the celestial board. When I used to serve time in the Galactic Federation, there is a keyword you can say, and they will have to let you go, okay? Please bear with me. I know all of this sounds like I'm trolling. Pisces energy is trolling energy. 12th house energy is trolling energy, but I'm being dead ass serious. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, I want you to comment the shades emoji, okay, with the glasses, because we ain't playing around. The phrase is, motherfucker Tom Tucker. If you say that at least 3 times in a row, they can't neuralize you. It is Galactic Federation Nuremberg Code. I don't know why they called it Nuremberg after what happened after World War II. I don't even care, considering that they named it before World War II, but I don't care. But other than that, shout out to my timeless beings. I wanted to really go on that tangent to really ask yourself, what about what I said makes no sense? Because if you think about the bounds of logic and the agreed upon set of principles that make up our reality, it's really just an agreed upon set of principles that make up our reality. Nothing about it is really real. Or true, rather. It's really just what we've decided. This is not a bad thing. If anything, you could say it's a reflection of the intelligence of society to reach a place where, you know, post advent of prehistoric times and primitive civilization, we can at least kind of maybe agree on something, even though we still can't agree on if it's white gold or blue and black, and we know it's blue and black. But here's the thing, like, the moon in Gemini is going to have you question these assumptions that you individually have made with society. We like to blame society for everything, but everything that is wrong with society, you had a part in too. Like, if Saturn was to come through and judge everyone karmically, Saturn's not really gonna be like, all right, my nigga, you were cool. Like, I'm gonna deal with these other. No, like, you're a part of a collective vibration, so we all get judged. It's like that person who doesn't do the group work, and then you do all the work, but then you still fail because it's a group grade. Yes, it fucking sucks, doesn't it? Well, other than that, yeah, this balsamic phase is really gonna have you contemplate that. Not really in this whole your whole life is a lie thing, even though your life probably is a lie, and that's okay if you can accept that. Because we're gonna step into the new moon where you're seeding a new truth. And remember, superpowers. Okay, the full moon in Capricorn, we use our superpowers. Aries, we had that quarter square. We identified with these superpowers we harvested, and now the new moon in Cancer is going to step us into a meta-human introduction to a new cycle of superpowers, insisting on new abilities as the sun trines Neptune retrograde. Do you see how my tone switched and I focused my emotions? Welcome to the world of Cancer. But before we step into the new moon, this is a balsamic phase. So ideas about yourself, understandings about yourself, you know what I'm saying, that are widely accepted as true, you're gonna realize aren't true, and that's only because there's a perception of what things are, and then there's what things actually are. Okay, let me bring your attention to something. Okay, certain people can have the truth in front of their eyes, but if it's not what they think it's supposed to look like, they won't recognize it. So ponder the irony of somebody beaming down to this earth who, ancient texts were written after for all intents and purposes. And this person is what people have revered throughout all ages as God. But this person also drinks alcohol, smokes weed, and tips strippers in clubs. And so, this person's going around, you know, basically expressing who they are, not trying to prove themselves to people, and they're getting judged like, ew, you're decrepit, you're a lowlife. And you know imagine if this person with their perspective actually is from the time period of hypothetically stories from the Bible, and then you're arguing with a scholar who's like, no, this was in the Bible, so this is wrong. But then the guy's like, bitch, you're talking about a book you read. I'm actually from the fucking time era. How you gonna argue with me, nigga? Like, you're reading a book about me. I'm trying to tell you that book, what happened. You're arguing the book. I'm giving you a hypothetical example because you're gonna see this come a lot more. Like, this is gonna be a theme that hopefully you dissolve, where there's a perception about something and then there is something. Fun fact: Pharisees, which are representative of the state of the church now, constantly got at, a lot of people don't know this, but Pharisees got at Jesus for basically drinking alcohol with his niggas, like straight up. Like, they've Christianized the book. But think about it, it's not about just turning water to wine. Jesus was constantly, criticized and accused for, why do you hang around these low lives? Why do you hang around these losers of society? Even he would hang around tax collectors. All right, and it took me into, I was like, why do people care that Jesus was around tax collectors? Until I started paying taxes. Fuck them niggas. I understand. It's like, how you going hang out with that loser? Motherfucker be collecting tax for the Roman government. But one thing that stuck out to me was, they did mention, you know what I mean? Like, oh, how come you're drinking? And Jesus would be like, look, you have to help the sick. You don't need to help the healthy. But this isn't just to like say, oh, Jesus drank, so you can drink. This is to point out that, this is someone who didn't go out of their way to, you know, exemplify this uber spiritual lifestyle while still having integrity. It's not like he got drunk and was wasting away. But these are things that you wouldn't think that someone who was supposed to be holy was. This is the same man who said, before Abraham was, I am. So he's never accepted in his hometown, except, now everyone's on his dick like hundreds of thousands of years later, or almost everybody. But I just wanted to really introduce that concept to you, where let's say God came down and God is not exemplifying any of the characteristics that scholars had thought that he is. And it's forcing you to understand your perception of God. Hypothetically, this doesn't have to pertain to God. I'm just using God as an example, versus what God is really showing you, a being who could do all things. So the whole notion that he can't, tip strippers in clubs and get wasted is a fallacy, because the dude can do all things, or this being. But please don't take that too seriously. I'm just using that as an example. This doesn't have to be religious. This could be about a real person that you can or, well, this could be about someone you know in this real life, right? And people are talking about what they've heard him do or her do, and then they're telling you their true experience, and people believe more what other people have heard versus the dude who was actually in the experience. It's like, yo, I'm literally telling you my experience, and then other people are like, that's not what I heard. Well, that's not what I heard. And I'm an expert because we gossiped about you for 2 hours. So I'm just going to believe this story. And it's like, I can smack you right now. I literally was there though. Like, how you gonna argue with me? You weren't even there. Like, I can understand everything I'm lying, but motherfucker, you weren't even there. Motherfucker, Tom Tucker. See, I had to remind you the code word. So, like, keep that in mind because this is going to really have you question long held assumptions about reality when this balsamic phase brings to your awareness the truth about you and about your celestial origin or influence and about key aspects of who you truly are that up until this point you truly thought was the truth, but now you're looking at it in a different way. You're taking and this is the balsamic phase. Balsamic phases where the moon is in a mutable sign before we have the new moon in cardinal signs are some of the most powerful balsamic phases. This is following a new moon in a cardinal sign that begins a new season. So the balsamic phase, 12th house to the sun in a mutable sign, is getting ready to change your entire perspective about your character. We have them 4 times a year. In Aries, that was the last one with moon in Pisces. And then we have it in Cancer with the moon in Gemini. The most powerful one, in my opinion, is going to be the one in Libra next with the moon in Virgo. That one's going to be real change. And then, of course, we have the one in Capricorn with the moon in Sagittarius. Don't sleep on that one. That one's going to have the nodes. That one, I think, is also probably going to be up there, if not the most powerful. But what makes this special is that you have an understanding of yourself that was unconsciously influenced by a perceptual understanding of you, not a reality of you, by people who have placed labels, ideas, and concepts about who they think you are instead of who you truly are. This isn't a good or bad thing. It's just a consequence of being in a civilization like we're in. So this is anything you have to really feel bad about. You just want to recognize and be prepared to change. For example, imagine if somebody incarnated as the devil and as an incarnate of the devil, and they've read their whole life that they're destined to go to hell, and then they awaken to this, but then they realize, oh no, you're only incarnated in this life because you can atone for your sins and you can ascend back to heaven going through that, progression through Scorpio. And so now it's like, scholars have read in a book that was dated, before their civilization modernized, about a story about someone they've never known and have only had to believe versus the actual person. I can't believe I'm using this example, as dumb as hell. But I just want to use this example anyway, because this is really going to go a long way into having you reframe your understanding of the truth of the sincerity of you, because there's your identity in Aries and then there's how you feel about it. That's why it's squared. No one ever truly really feels about who, what they show you on the surface, unless they have the sun, moon, and rising conjunct or sun, moon, and conjunct, and even then. So other than that, really enjoy this day, because what the nodes are unlocking in square Neptune is a unique perspective about who you are deep inside that you're going to be able to sow the seeds for new moon in Cancer. And in order to tap into your superpower, you need to tap into who you are. Some of you are in denial. This is going to get you out of your denial. Some of you refuse to accept it because it's like, no, I'm not this person. No, this is too big. And it's like, first of all, no, it's not. Your understanding of this, for example, some of you may be thinking, oh, you're a god or something like that. And it's hard for you to wrap your head around because you think you're being arrogant. People only ride God's dicks. It's only humans that ride God's dicks. Like, gods are not that big a deal, man, I guess. Like, it's only here on Earth that people deify literally gods. You go back to the stars, they're just another motherfucker on council. Okay, it's just your higher self. So it's not You don't have to really feel like you're being arrogant. Like, no one's better than another person here. You're only better than the past version of yourself. So, get over any sense of denial. Own who you are. You stop asking the universe for signs, because you keep getting them. I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. And you need to move forward and embrace it, because we're in a spiritual war, and it's going to be opposite Pluto, and people are going to be coming for you. In order to tap into your powers, you need to actually tap into who you are. That's why Power Rangers say their name, or anime people say the name of their sword. Like, think about any show where they say their power. They always either say the name or the name of the power, and it's because it starts with Aries, and this is actually a functional facet of how power and energy is expressed and distributed. Also, if you wanted to know a new magical technique that's tied around who you are, please embrace who you are, because it's going to unlock it. Once it unlocks it, you're going to step into the new moon reform with new superpowers. Tom Tucker, motherfucker. Godspeed.